and welcome back to another episode of Social News. I'm Gav Halliday from Social Gaming News. Today we're here to interview another wonderful Stormworks content creator, Ramalis. We're going to invite him into the studio, we're going to ask him a few questions, and then he's going to be giving us a tour around his workshop creations for you to enjoy. So without any further ado, let's meet Ramalis. Ramalis, come on in. How are you today?
How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So, welcome to the studio. Welcome to Social News. It's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So just a couple of quick questions then. So we're going to go for hours. We won't go for like the time that you've owned the game. I think hours is a little bit easier to reference. So how long have you been playing Stormworks?
I have about 2,200 some hours currently on Stormworks.
Wow, again, that's another big number. So, building. How do you like to start a build? Like, do you start with like the components first, or the function, or do you build the hull and then like put everything inside it? Like, when you're building a build for the new people of Stormworks, how do you start?
Well, usually how I start a build is I decide what I want to do first. And start with the component that is the main function of the build first. So if it's a tanker, we'll build the hull first. If it's, like I said, it's a VTOL here, I'll build the body of it first. Probably start with the cockpit. The most complex areas usually get started first, because those are the places people are going to be the most.
Nice, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah, do the complex things first, and then work on the shape. I did notice something with this particular build.
Yeah,
the angles. You've done a really good job of the angles on this, especially on the nose section, and that build is currently moving away at the moment.
It is. It seems to have decided that it's going to turn the parking brake off, or maybe the wind's picked up some. It'll still be there when we get out there. Not too worried about it.
Okay, so when it comes to building a particular build, so the VTOL, for example, did you draw this down, sketch it on paper, or is it referenced a real life aircraft, or did you just think, you know what, this is what I want to try and build, I'm just going to crack on and build this?
It isn't referenced on any actual aircraft, other than maybe obviously a V-22 Osprey, but that was just kind of the VTOL, the only real life VTOL you could reference. It is sort of based off of a combination of the two, but as for actual shaping, it's all custom, just straight out of the brain bucket, if you would.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, it's very nice. So what was the most challenging part of the VTOL in building?
Probably I would have to say the most challenging part was the custom gyro that I have on it currently. The Lua for that, and getting it all set up and running everything through that was, I would say, a real pain. Getting everything trimmed right, getting all the functions into it, setting up different things, making sure that it's stable and still works correctly. Bug testing, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, my expertise stop before hitting anything to do with Lua. So, do you have any hints and tips for any new players on how to get their workshop items up into that top 5 box if they want to try?
Up into the top 5. My recommendations would probably just be patient. Usually you want to release on a Friday. Release on a Friday. Usually make sure that you have a lot of, what I would say, greeble. Make it look good. A good thumbnail goes a long way into the presentation of your vehicle. Make sure that it's useful. Make sure that it's something people need to use. Mine is modular. I like the modular design. It makes it versatile, and it flies around, which makes it easy to use.
Oh, got you.
That would be my recommendation for workshop vehicles, is make them look pretty if you can. Presentation.
Yeah, there's one main thing that's always coming out here, and I think that's probably the key thing for anyone to take away, because even if you're not the greatest builder, you can definitely do this, which is thumbnail. I think thumbnails come up twice now, and I think that's the key for when you're putting stuff on the workshop. Don't use
a good thumbnail goes a long way.
Yeah, don't use the default Stormworks thumbnail. I think that'll get your creation going somewhere. And then obviously, like you said afterwards, the actual function, the function of what it is you've put on the workshop. Will it be something that other people want and need to use? Okay, that's the questions over. So without any more questioning, I think we're gonna pop outside and we'll take a look at this beast.
I think we're gonna have to chase it down.
I think we will. It's gone completely. Okay, guys, so we're back. We've made it outside. Behind me, you can see the VL44 Dragonfly. Here's Ramalis. And again, this is his creation. We're going to take a look around it. Don't forget that if you want to download this creation yourself, then you can grab the creation in the description below the video. But apart from that, yeah, Ramalis, show us around the VL44 Dragonfly. It looks amazing.
Oh, you want to start with the front, or?
I think we should start the front and work our way around.
I wanted the front to have a bit of visibility out of the front since you're going to be looking down, so that's why it has the windows kind of right here in a weird place.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, visual.
We could give a bit more visibility downward. Landing gear retracts, obviously. I recently added the anchors, so you could technically tie this to a ship if you manage to land it on a ship. Moving back, you have the entrance naturally. It's only on one side. Moving farther back, you have where you can add fuel. So I had to set up this a little bit different because pumps. But green is in and red is out. If you need to pump fuel out of the vehicle for any reason.
Okay, so green is to refuel the actual aircraft, and red's to pump the fuel out.
Yes, and there's a little indicator with arrows on the side with text. If you look at them, that will be a cheat sheet for you.
Oh yeah, see, nice use of a printable indicator.
I refrained from greebling the inside too much here. You see a lot of other VTOLs will greeble the inside here where the container goes, but since I wanted this one to be more simple, and I wanted to reduce the cost as much as I could.
Yep.
I didn't bother greebling any of the inside, as well as I wanted the VTOL to have as speed as possible. Adding more little bits will increase the drag slightly.
Okay, so you've designed this again as well for career mode in mind, or a later at career mode. So what's the cost of this in career mode? Can you remember?
In career mode, this is about 85K. I actually built it for a server called Lost Latitude.
Nice.
So that's where I built that's the server I built it for, but it is built for career as well because Lost Latitude is just a career server.
I'm just looking at the artwork here on the side of the cockpit.
Yeah, that was artwork is one of the last things I do for your creation.
So nice.
And then naturally moving back, you have the various wings and then the tail artwork as well. There's not much to see due to it being modular in nature and being something used for carrying containers around, or like I said, the various modules.
What about the engines then? Did you build these engines yourself, obviously?
Yes, these are 100% custom modular engines. They're something like 46 cylinders.
46 cylinders.
Turbocharged.
Wow.
It has forced induction. I'm using one of Irwin's EZ or ZE controllers for the engines themselves to maintain AFR ratio, though they are slightly modified for my purposes. It has 6 radiators and multiple pumps to pump fluid through said radiators.
Keep that thing cool, right?
Got to keep it cool. Under normal circumstances, under normal throttle, cruise throttle, it'll never overheat no matter what you do to it. But when doing warmer throttle level 4, which I can show you when we get inside, it will eventually overheat, but it won't blow up. The controller that ZE has made has a protection system that will reduce throttle before it overheats. So, yeah, it's just sort of my design. Dragonfly, put a Dragon on the back just for giggles. Actually, if you can manage to get up there, there's some Easter eggs too that you can read off of the
America.
Yep, hit a few little hidden Easter eggs around in the different paint blocks.
Wait, it said created by Ramalis.
And then if we head on inside, this door is just high enough where you can just barely get into it with a normal jump. But if you can't get into it, there is a handle above the door.
No, we're in. Okay, so let's close this door. Okay, we are in the
You
VTOL.
can start at the back. So starting near the back, you have this panel here, right next to where I'm at. And this will be for the door mags for connecting the passenger module. And that automatically will open the door when the passenger module is connected. It's something that happens automatically.
Oh,
the
nice.
two side switches, one's for just opening the rear door, and then the other one is for actually locking the side door. You don't want anybody to come inside. If you're on one of them servers that might not have the greatest people running around. Both buttons on the top, the arrow buttons, are for the onboarding fuel pumps. So clicking these will speed up fuel transfer into the vehicle if it's one of the servers where you start with 0 fuel.
Ah, okay, yeah, got you. That's for pumping
And
in.
then and then there is an emergency dump for dumping fuel. Up above is the hatch to the roof. I added a roof access hatch for said situations when
There's
you're
actually,
on the water.
there's actually something up there. Do you mind if I take a little look?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Wow, look at this view. Amazing.
Yeah, and then from that on, we have captain's chair and the first officer's chair.
Alright,
And
cool.
I can start her up for you. So you want to turn on the main battery bus, then you turn out all the switches up above your head, all of them, especially ADRS. And then you can, using Q and E, start both engines simultaneously. You also have control handoff, so if you would be so kind, you now have control.
Okay, well, I'm glad it's hovering. You need to give me more warning when you're giving me control of a, what did you say it was? Like £58,000?
85K.
85. Yeah, £85,000 aircraft. And do I still have control? Oh, I do still have control.
Yeah, you have control. And it is set up to where if you push this button, but there's nobody in the first officer seat, it won't gain control over. Somebody has to be in that seat for gain control over.
Feeling the controls now, it flies. It's very smooth, isn't it? Very smooth.
I worked very hard on tuning the gyro to make this thing as stable as possible. The end goal of this was to make the fastest flying, best handling VTOL in the workshop.
You can take back the controls now.
So moving on from there, next to Bundo's map, we have the controls for modules in the Sky Crane. The module functions aren't labeled other than module function 1 and module function 2 due to the different modules have different functions. So those ones are listed on the modules workshop page if they have alternate functions to use. And next to that, we have the controls for the Sky Crane. Winch down is winching down the Sky Crane. And as you can see, a laser turns on when you winch down the Sky Crane.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even realise it had that there.
This is the aid in picking up containers or other modules.
Yeah, that's really
so
good.
I've changed the MFD back to the camera, and you can see lasers turned on, and it's in the center of the...
Oh, yeah, nice. So you don't have to kind of hover yourself over the container and actually lower the entire aircraft down. You can just lower that winch crane down, pick it up, and then load that container in. And then the laser's really helpful. Nice.
And there's below that is the module functions for indicating how much water or other things are in it. So different like readouts for what those do. But going on from there to the pilot's left side, there's flares. These are for illuminating the darkness for when you're trying to rescue somebody in the ocean, need more light. The aircraft has spotlights, but sometimes those aren't enough. Sometimes you need even more light than that. So you can fire an illumination flare.
Bang. We'll make it
and
there.
You can light up the entire area.
There we go, we can see for miles. Perfect. So if there was a container down there in the dark, you wouldn't have no problem in this helicopter, or this VTOL I should say, grabbing that container.
Not at all. If there's somebody in the ocean doing a rescue mission in the dark, if there's anything in the dark that you want to see on the ground, I added 6 illumination flares for purposes of, well, illumination.
And it works a treat. I mean, look at that. I can see everything down there now. That's the glass windows there that you mentioned on the outside to improve the visibility on the way in.
To try and improve visibility somewhat. They're not great, but they do help. Get out of the way of the flare here. I think that flare has actually knocked off one of my rotor blades. I'm kind of leaning here.
Yeah, I think it might have broke one on the right.
Which is no big deal. This thing can actually fly on most of the rotor blades being gone, so it is quite resilient to losing blades. Shall we take it for a spin? Despite the damage?
If you think it's safe.
I believe it's 100% safe.
Hello, and after an absolutely amazing flight across the arid desert, we are finally back down on the ground in front of the hangar. The pilot is already conducting repairs. I'm absolutely speechless at this moment in time. We did take a bit of damage on the rotor as a flare got caught by the wind and flew into the engine there, but as I said, you know, highly skilled pilot got us back down to ground safe. And I think repairs have now been conducted. Right, so behind me is the module for the VTOL helicopter. Again, another creation by Ramalis, goes perfectly with the VL44. This here behind will be used to drop deep down into the sea. So I guess the helicopter will hover above the water, correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct. You can actually also land the aircraft on the water if you don't have buddies with you to stay up with it. The back of it is meant to add flotation as well to the tail of the aircraft.
Oh nice, so if you're by yourself as well, you can land on the water and then just lower this thing down. Fix those broken pipes and then make your way back up. And possible future plans, they might even be able to get a submarine on this.
A mini sub, yes.
A little mini sub. And I think we're going to be able to see this. Are we going to be able to see this in action, or are you just showing me the module?
No, I can definitely attach it in the hangar.
Nice. Okay, we're going to go for a little trip in this. Might have to get a diving suit on, get a little bit wet, and maybe see if we can check this bad boy out. Okay, so we're just here in the hangar. Yeah, we've got the VL44 behind. It's going to maneuver into position here and grab this module, which we're going to use to go down into the water. And just like that.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Alright, I guess do you want me to sit in the module this time?
You can sit in the module. The module itself doesn't go underwater. It stays with the aircraft.
Oh. Okay, so we'll go in now. We're in the back of the helicopter. I guess we're going to head over to the water over there. I actually didn't bring my my water clothes, but I think some will be provided. We're in safe hands here.
Some will be provided. Absolutely. Yes, it is currently flying itself. The position hold is on. The man override is on. You don't have infinite time to not be in it before it will still trigger the div man and land itself. But from here you can control the work lights with the creation and lower the winch. The winch head has lights on it for use when it touches the water. It will turn on the various lights. So the yellow lights on top are for finding the winch head when it's in the water and it's dark. The deeper down you go, the darker it gets, and sometimes you just need to be able to find something. And that will also control the depths of the winch. So you can...
Oh, so I can control it
It's
from
meant to be... The VTOL is meant to be able to be used solo or with a group of friends.
Okay, so your friend's crashed his vehicle. Oh yeah, okay, I see. And then you lower this down, you got the rope anchors on the bottom and an electrical connector. And then you grab that vehicle and just yank it back out.
You yank it back up. In Lost Latitude, I actually was able to pull an entire submarine with this.
Oh, it's landing, self-landing now.
And when it's landed like this, if the doors detect that there is water, it will not allow you to open the doors. That's another safety feature that's kind of implemented. Is if it detects water is above a certain level, the doors will lock.
I'm back on board. Okay, so we've landed and we're back at the airfield. I'd like to thank Ramalis for letting us see his creations today and giving up his time. See please below for the links to the VL44 Dragonfly. I'll also link the modules below as well in the description. While you're down there clicking on the workshop items, make sure you leave the video a like, it helps a lot. And please subscribe to the channel as well. That helps. If you've got any questions or you would like social news to visit or show off your creations, then please get in touch in the comments. That's all for today, and we'll see you next time on social news. Ramalis, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to meet you, and thank you for showing me your creation.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure.
And he's off.